Welcome to Meet the Candidate for this session. My guest is Jamie Baird, running for Liberty Lake City Council, position 4. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. This is the Get Acquainted conversation. So tell me about where you grew up.
Sure. So I was born and raised in a small town in North Carolina called Mebane. It's actually halfway between Chapel Hill, Durham, and Greensboro, so two fairly large areas. And I grew up there, had a wonderful experience kind of growing up out in the country. And then I moved away for grad school back in 2009. And I moved to Virginia Beach, Virginia to attend grad school. Ended up meeting my husband there. And we resettled in North Carolina after we got married, closer to the eastern part of the state in Rocky Mount. But along about 2014, we took a big trip out west, and we started in Texas and moved our way up, and we happened to drive through Post Falls and Liberty Lake on our way to meet his dad and his brother. And we fell in love with the area. It was so beautiful. My husband grew up in Colorado, so he loved being back in the Rockies. But we didn't think anything about moving out here. Our lives were pretty established. But the next year, things kind of changed. And so July of 2015, I wrapped up my year teaching, and we moved out here and been in Liberty Lake ever since.
Okay, well, that's an interesting route to make it here.
It was a little random, but we couldn't be happier anywhere else.
Okay. Growing up in North Carolina, were there some first jobs that you had while you were there in school?
Yeah, so my first job was right before my senior year of high school, and I began working at a local PetSmart and started out as a cashier. I did everything there. I worked in the grooming salon, did dog training, although don't ask me to train my dog now. It doesn't work very well. I'm too easygoing, I guess. But yeah, that was probably my first job, and I did that throughout college as well. Had tons of jobs during college because I worked and paid for school all at the same time. So it was busy. I don't know how I did it. Looking back, I guess because you're 20 and you don't sleep, so that's part of it. But yeah, it's been fun.
It's been so in your travels around the country as you were heading out west, what were some things that you observed? You've got a chance to look at the countryside?
Yeah, so it started in North Carolina, and we sort of made our way slowly southwest to near Abilene, Texas, where my mother-in-law lived, and we picked her up. Along the way, I got to go through New Orleans and Shreveport and various parts of Texas. I never thought I was going to make it through Texas. It's huge. And then as we worked our way further north and through Utah, and probably the most magnificent thing I've ever seen was Yellowstone National Park. We stayed in Jackson Hole and then worked our way through, and it was gorgeous. And of course, I got to see Mount Rushmore, which was always on the bucket list, and gotten to see the Pacific Ocean and everything in between. So yeah, I got to cross a lot of states off my bucket list that summer, that's for sure.
Well, landing in Liberty Lake and getting settled in, what drew you into city government?
Sure. So I've always been interested in government and politics. I went to school for it. I've always had an interest. When I lived in North Carolina, I was pretty involved. But I didn't really know if that was going to be my niche in Liberty Lake. I was just sort of new and just, figuring out what my next steps were career-wise. And what initially drew me in was on my way to work, I happened to notice an application for a store that was opening. And I was curious, just based on what it was zoned for, and it was sort of in an odd area, in my opinion. And I was just curious. So I happened to go to a city council meeting when they were talking about it and put in my 2 cents worth, and come to find out a few other people agreed with me about it. And before you know it, I was appointed to the planning commission. It all kind of happened fast. I think it was like, oh, you have a pulse and you're halfway interested in local government. Here you go. Had no clue what I was doing. I learned more about the Growth Management Act and comp plan than I ever thought I'd want to know. Some of it was like watching paint dry, I'll be honest. But it really gave me a good foundation as to how Washington operates and then how municipalities operate. And I met a lot of great people, both city staff and other elected officials, and really got to know my neighborhood and beyond that, my neighbors. And that's what's propelled me to move forward.
Well, that's a good place for me to ask you that last question.
Sure.
Tell people why they should vote for Jamie Baird for Liberty Lake City Council.
Well, I have, as I mentioned, I've been on the Planning Commission since 2017. I've gotten to work on plenty of issues ranging from food truck ordinances to street trees, signs, 5G cell towers, and pretty much everything else in between. And I've gotten to observe how our city council operates. And it's not that I'm coming in with an agenda because I think everything needs to change. That's not it at all. Liberty Lake's in a great place, but we need to maintain that going forward. We're kind of on the cusp of a lot of big changes that are coming up in terms of infrastructure and just moving forward with growth. And I want to be a voice for our neighbors, and I want to help drive the city to its bright future.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in today, Jamie.
Thanks for having me.
Good luck on your first run for council.
Thank you.
What does it mean to be awake? It means to truly understand the issues facing us and actively participate as a citizen in this country. One way you can do that is by voting your values, based on the Word of God. We believe We Vote has done the research and provides you the information you need to make an informed decision on which candidates will champion our values and work for us. Now is the time to rise up, get involved, and vote. WeBelieveWeVote.com.
Hello, Spokane. This is Governor Mike Huckabee. I'm going to be speaking at We Believe, We Vote's October 2nd fundraiser. It's more important than ever for Christians to come together and to vote. I'm looking forward to seeing you on October the 2nd of this year. For tickets to the event, go to WeBelieveWeVote.com.